All right, it says we're live. So it's been a while. Let me just double check this is working. Just checking the back end on YouTube here. Anyone can confirm, that would be awesome. Now I'm using a program, a free program called, well, it's not free, it's a trial of a program called Ecamm, which is what a friend of mine, Peter, uses. So we're going to see whether or not this works, and if it's good, I'll get a subscription, and hopefully we can live stream a little bit here. Let's see if anyone joins. If the audio is too loud or not loud enough, just let us know. I'm just going to check my feed. It's always something with live streaming. If you haven't done it for a while, it's easy to. Oh yeah, it looks like we're on. All right, let me just check the audio. Audio is too loud. All right, we're live. Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. It's been ages since I've done a live stream. Apologies. It's been a bit of a nightmare working in the studio. The way that it was killing me, and the live streams weren't always. I had to adjust everything to go live to make it look and sound good. So now the studio's back to how it was. So you're looking at the wall, the poster wall's back, and I've worked out this space so much better. I've been sitting down and shooting some videos over the last 3 days, and it's been way better than before. So welcome everybody. Oh, here we go. Let's see if this works. Now, there's a way I can put these comments on screen, and that's how we do it, right? Like that. This is pretty cool. Conspiracy Theory says, "Hi Shane, so cool to join you live after following you for a long time." Well, thank you for joining in, mate. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I'm just gonna maybe make this a little larger. How cool is this program? So this will allow me to basically go live a lot easier and showcase comments, questions, all that kind of stuff. And if I use it, I'm going to buy it if I use it enough. I've got 14 days to decide. So anyway, let's see how we go here. All right. I have to manually click these off, do I? Okay. I'm just learning this program, by the way. Daniel, welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. We got John here as well. That's awesome. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. There's got to be an easier way for me to get this these comments on screen. But anyway, we'll just see how we go. So I'm back to shooting videos a lot more again. So I had a bit of a break, which was good. I went overseas. I went interstate. I did those Guitar Search Saturdays, but the Japan trip was epic. I want to showcase a little bit of that with you guys at some point too, because it was a lot of fun. Jamal's awake somehow. How is he awake here? It's crazy. Anyway, thanks everyone for the support. I know the channel's sort of not been doing much the last couple of months, other than the katana video. Well, not last couple of months, by last sort of 3 weeks, I should say. All right, let's see if there's an easier way of doing these. That's how we do it. All right, welcome Jamal. How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for the birthday wishes the other week too. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Hope you're doing well. We're in the middle of winter here, and I can only imagine how hot it is in Texas. It's probably a lot more enjoyable. I'm a hot weather guy, man. This cold weather stuff sucks. I don't know why anyone lives here. All right, Lefty Mike, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. All right, Chopper's here as well. Welcome, mate. Awesome stuff. Jamal says, guess where he's at? He's at work. A crazy time of the morning is my guess, if I had to guess. The hardest working man in the guitar biz right there. Postman says he loves Japan. Yeah, we had a blast. It was just beautiful. Just one of the nicest places I've seen. I love Hawaii. I think Hawaii is pretty special. For me, Japan's right up there. I loved it. I could spend 6 months there. Easy. I thought it was fantastic. It's clean. People are respectful. It's safe. It's great to see older people, in their 80s plus, riding around on push bikes, not having to worry about getting hit by cars and all mugged. It was great. The culture there is fantastic. It was beautiful. It's really good. Norm says, hope you got your Ugg boots on. You know what? I don't. I'm still in my normal sneakers, but I do have some. All right. If you see me looking this way, I'm looking at the comments. It's the best I can do here. If anyone has any questions or whatever, feel free to let us know. Hey, we've got Ernest here as well. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in. And for some reason, here we go. I'm just testing this program for the first time. I'm going to see if it's any good and whether or not we use it moving forward. So I'm still learning it. James says, as a horror fan, what's your favorite? Mine is Event Horizon. Love the channel show note. Hey, thanks, man. So I got a few favorite horror movies. Event Horizon's underrated. You know, a lot of people gave that a hard time. I love that at the cinema. I went with 3 friends, and 2 of us liked it, and 1 was bored. So I don't know. Event Horizon for me is pretty great. I think I saw it when I was like 16 or something. Might be no. I would have been older than that, but not much more. I think I go through phases with movies. I don't really have a favorite, but the mask back here is from Fulci's Zombie, which was out in '79. It's cheesy, but it's definitely one of my favorites. I actually bought another one of those horror masks up there, but that would definitely be one of my all-time favorites. I love the Evil Dead movies as well, but Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead are both great as well. The zombie movies are probably my favorite. I love a lot of vampire movies. Fright Night, it's kind of like a comedy horror. Love that one as well. Let us know what your favorite is, man. All right, we've got Sean from Slovakia. I love the Guitar Store Saturdays. Hey, thanks, mate. I appreciate that. We've got one more in editing at the moment. It's not from Japan, unfortunately. A lot of people saying, did you go to a guitar shop in Japan? And I didn't, unfortunately, but next time I will for sure. All right. Oh, thanks, John. I appreciate that, man. Look, all that stuff I don't post publicly about or whatever, so it's easily missed. I miss everybody's birthday as well, so don't worry about it. Christopher, welcome, mate. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in, man. All right. Hey, Marina's here. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hot here in Greece. Yeah, I bet. That'd be the place to be this time of year for sure. I got to get to Greece at some point. And Italy. Do both in one trip. It would be awesome. All right. Oh, this is great. This program's working fine. Let us know if it's like glitching or anything, or if it's working okay. I think it looks to be okay on my side, but whether or not that translates over to YouTube is another thing. So anyway, it looks like it's working. Awesome. And welcome again. Dennis says, Shane, is a 20-watt tube amp through a 2x12 loud enough to gig in a 5-piece rock cover band? It should be. I mean, 20 watts is pretty loud, and the more speakers you have, the louder that gets. I gigged with my DSL 40 on 20-watt mode the other week, and it was loud enough. But that was like a blues thing, but it did get loud in the room. So 20 watts is kind of like the minimum. But the good news is with 20 watts, you can kind of push them pretty hard. If you were asking me if is a Blues Junior loud enough in that situation, I'd say no, even though that's 15 watts and there's not much of a perceived difference. But 20 watts is usually fine. And my Artist TweedTone at 20 watts is loud enough to peel the paint off the wall. So yeah, with a 2x12, you're going to have ample headroom. I wouldn't have a problem with that. A lot of people gig with supersonic heads through 2x12 cabs, the 22 watt ones. So yeah, you'll have no problems. That'll be definitely loud enough in... I'm almost tipping most situations. Just make sure you're standing in a spot where you can hear it. You got a bit of distance between you and the speaker, because the problem a lot of people have when they're with a loud band, they can't hear themselves, but everyone else is dying out the front. I've got a video coming up about that actually, but yeah, you'll be fine. I'm sure that'll be loud enough, no problems. Especially, yeah, the cab will definitely make the difference. Hey, we've got Shane here. Welcome, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope your Maybury guitar's serving you well. It looks great in the photos. I saw your video as well, so well done. Lost Boys. I mean, Lost Boys, another great movie, right? How do you rank them? It's hard to rank them. I just go through phases with stuff, and right now I'm like obsessed with Fulci's Zombie still. You know, it's one of my favorites, and I've got the poster here. I also like some of the black and white ones as well from the old days. I'm not like... the 80s would be my favorite period for horror movies, but, you know, I can go back to the black and white days. No problems. The only thing that worries me getting bit in a zombie apocalypse is all the walking. Yeah, you might be right about that. What's my favorite guitar brand? See, this is not an easy question anymore. Back in the day, I was like, Fender, easy. I tell you what, my Kiesel kills my Fender. It's not even close. That's not to say like Fender guitars are bad, but everything about this guitar over here sounds unreal. I used it for a gig the other night with the PV Classic. It was so good. Those guitars are like, I reckon, almost underrated. You know, as someone who would have not have played one prior to getting this one, or the humbucker version I've got, I guess you assume they're just for metal guys, but the tone of that thing is friggin' awesome. I love it. Yeah, I can't really put Gibson in my favorite anymore. I got one Gibson. It's my Flying V. And again, that's not to say they're bad guitars, but if I liked them more, I would own more. But I would say probably Fender is still my favorite overall brand. But the best guitars I've got, Kiesel, hands down. Hey, we got Pork Chop Express here. Welcome, welcome. No Fender Japan flagship. Yeah, we weren't there for long enough to really do all that sort of stuff. We're there for something else and not to do with In the Blues. So, yeah, hopefully next time I get to check out all that stuff when it comes to guitar shops and the Fender store over there. That would have been awesome. Everything seems to be running smooth from what I can see, audio and video. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, guys and ladies. We got Martian Murray from Texas. Awesome. I got to get back to Texas. I haven't been there for a long time. I think the last trip I took there was 2010 or 2008. I think it might have been 2008. So it was a while ago. It was whenever I got to play in Austin, Texas that year, and Chicago and San Francisco. But Chicago and Austin were awesome. I'd love to get back there at some point. I played with some pretty well-known harmonica player. I've forgotten the dude's name, but he was just doing the jams, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's this guy." That's the beauty of the jams. You just turn up and play, and sometimes they're awesome fun. Anyway, yeah, welcome. Here we go. Vintage Ale says, "Hey, in the Blues, just thinking about you when I hooked up the Anarchy Audio Game of Tones pedal." Is that what it's Game of Tones? Is that what it was called? I bought off you in 2017. Man, I tell you what, that company goes so under the radar. I don't know what happened to them, actually. I haven't really looked into Anarchy Audio in a while. They make great stuff. They had like a gold overdrive, I think it was. It was killer. And like a tremolo pedal I really liked as well. So I'm glad you're still enjoying it, mate. That's awesome. Yeah, here we go. This is always a tough question. This goes by mood. I would say my 52 reissue Telecaster would be maybe the one I would take if I could only have one, just for the sentimental reasons. But the one I'm playing the most is my Kiesel with the humbuckers. I'm playing at a venue that has a lot of buzz, and that guitar is the easiest I've got to play. So it's a bit of a toss-up now. Yeah, it's hard to pick. It would come down to the day. All right, have I seen the new higher spec Harley Benton Strats? I saw something online about them. I haven't actually checked them out. Roasted neck, stainless steel frets. They look pretty schmick. That's cool. I haven't actually seen them in person. The dude from the dude from Thoman's, I don't know, he's a bit all over the shop. Like, he emails me, he says, "Oh, I'd love to send you these. Do you want to do a review?" And I say yes, and then nothing happens. It happens like 3 or 4 times in a row. A lot of the time. So I've just sort of like given up with them. I've sort of, if they want to do something, they can get onto it and make it happen, because we organized a whole bunch of stuff and nothing happened. It's fine. That's just the way that it goes, but it gets frustrating trying to deal with that. But it looks cool. So I might get online and just maybe we can order one. Let's see how we go. Any thoughts on the vintage brand guitars? Purchased myself a V75 Silverburst Tele. Yeah, from what I've seen, they're pretty good. I saw some of them at, which music shop was it in Melbourne? It might have been, you know what? I can't remember. But they're fine. They're all right. I mean, I've seen some with like relic jobs and, which store was it? I can't remember, but they're pretty solid instruments. And yeah, I know they do like a Clapton Blackie copy kind of thing. It looks pretty wild. I haven't played them myself, but yeah, I've just seen them in right-handed over the years. Actually, I remember seeing them years ago at another one of the guitar shops in Melbourne, Sindel Music. So that was going back quite a long time, because I haven't been in there for many years. I want to see a Texas video. Shane and Jamal go wild in Texas. Yeah, I'll be taking him to a blues jam if we go. So, yeah. Come on, Jamal. We got to get you out playing, man. Along with everybody else, you got to hit the jams. Have some fun. Guitar purchase for 4,800 AUD is now 7,200. Wow. What guitar in particular is that one, man? I might have missed your prior message, unfortunately. Is that just what companies have put their prices up, or what? Or is that Gibson? Hey, we got Mark here. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well, all the way from Florida, one of my favorite places. All right, looks like Sonny says, I found you have a tech channel as well 2 days ago. I was so confused. Yeah, I get that a bit. Yeah, I've started kind of breaking my time up between both. Not evenly, but it'll be back to evenly now. So, yeah, I was kind of consumed with it the last sort of month or so. But, yeah, I enjoy it. It gets me out of the house. It's a whole different part of my brain. It's made me enjoy playing again, which is weird because that's what I do. But when you play guitar on videos and it just all the time, too much, sometimes it kind of kills your motivation when you're not just playing for fun enough. So now I've started keeping a good balance. It's been good. Going to the jam probably twice a month, and I did a gig on Friday with my friend Brian and a few of the other guys, and it was great. So, yeah, with the inclusion of doing those kind of videos, it's been fun. Kind of gets me out of the studio a little more and get me thinking about other stuff that I enjoy, like cameras. It's a Sir Modern Pro purchased in 2019. Today, I had a look and it's 7,200 here. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And you know what's funny? I sold a guitar years ago. It was one I probably shouldn't have sold. It had a bit of sentimental attached. You know, it was one of those things I bought at a particular time, and I should have kept it. It was my 50th anniversary Strat. I kind of went down the rabbit hole of changing pickups out 100 times, and I just, back then, I didn't play as well as I do now, or I didn't understand my tone as well as I do now. And I've seen them online, and there's a Lefty, and it's slightly more expensive. I think it's $200 more expensive to buy it now used than new back in 2002. So that doesn't, like, the inflation thing didn't happen to that used guitar. It is slightly more expensive, but it's not much more expensive. And some could argue that's like, you know, a 50th anniversary is a bit of a collector's thing, and it's a bit of a rare guitar in a Lefty. I thought it would be lots more than that if I was to find one used, but it isn't. So I guess the case is here, shop used, or the message. Paulie's Guitar and Gear says I should definitely be working right now, not here. Well, that's how we do it. You can always just listen with headphones in if you can get away with it. What's my favorite band of all time? Man, that's a tough one. I mean, if we're talking, like, a lot of my favorite bands are like artists. They're not really just straight up bands, but one of my favorite bands going back to when I was a kid, I love the Chili Peppers. I've always liked their stuff. You know, maybe I haven't listened to like their modern stuff, but they're definitely one of my favorite like all-time bands. And then you go through the artists like Clapton, Dr. John, you know, Chris Kane, all these kind of guys. But yeah, don't know if I've just got like an all-time favorite band other than, I got lots of favorite music, but yeah, I'd say the Chili Peppers probably one of my favorite bands of all time, at least in sort of like the rock genre. Musicians need other hobbies as well. We can't play music 24/7. How much you like doing it, you need breaks. 100%. I always feel like this. I don't know, it's like every 5 or 6 months, I get burnt out shooting videos. And it's kind of a cop-out because it's fun, but then you're at your own I'm my own worst enemy sometimes with what I do. I tend to overdo it. And then the editing time, I don't outsource anything. Everything you see on the channel's me. Even if Rick's on here, I'm doing all the work when it comes to the edits and stuff. So it's like an accumulation of stuff, and I find I wasn't balancing going out and playing enough with the studio stuff, and going out and playing makes doing the studio stuff a lot easier and more fun. You get more creative, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the breaks are healthy. And I went through that like 9-month period of having a torn forearm tendon, and that sucked. But I'm finally past all of that, and it feels great. I'm working out again lightly and eating healthy and all that kind of thing. So we're going to see whether or not it comes back. I don't think it will this time. I think I'm past it all. But the breaks have been really good. I think also having something else to focus on is a good thing. Just pumping out videos every day is not good. And no one wants that anyway, I think, as a viewer. All right. Hey, cool. Welcome, everybody. We've got Quentin's here as well. How you doing, man? I have no favorite band. That's a great answer. Yeah, I can't really decide. Look, I'm put on the spot, so it's a bit hard for me to think of other bands that I've liked for as long. So yeah, I'm probably forgetting something. Hey, Heavy Brett, how are you, man? Hope you're doing well. What's the AL part on the end? I always call you Brett L, but is that how you want it said? No, you've joined at the right time, man. It's I've just been going probably like 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes. Oh, 20 minutes. There we go. I can see the counter on here. So yeah, I've been putting together some new videos, and I'm trying some. I tell you what, man, since I put the studio back like this, it looks so much better. Hang in there. The next video that comes up will be still shot on the same day as that first one, but stuff after that's going to look awesome. I'm really enjoying the space in here again, minus the fact it gets really loud. Outside of the house, the studio looks much better now. It looks like it did when I first got in here. So yeah, you're going to see just a visual improvement to my crappy little room here. But yeah. All right. Hey, here we go. 17 plate home. With my Blues Junior. I don't know who Mike is. Maybe talking to someone else. My name's Shane, by the way. If it was someone else, I apologize. Not loving the boxy sound. Would a Hot Rod Deluxe be way too loud for home? So you can get away with it on like just under 1, but as soon as you get it past 1, those amps are designed to get loud. They just get loud really quickly. So I wouldn't use it for home practice whatsoever. You'd be better off with something like a Tone Master or a modeling amplifier if you want a better tone at a lower volume. But if you're ever going out and playing live, the Hot Rod is going to kill the Blues Junior. Like it's not even close. Blues Juniors are okay up until a point, but they lack that big, full, sort of clean, high headroom sound. You get more bass, you get just a smoother treble response out of the Hot Rods. They're a great amp, but you don't really get a great low volume sound. There's ways around it. You can kind of like get on the drive channel and turn the volume down and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they're not the sort of sound they're not the right amp for the home practice sort of thing. You'd be better off with the Blues Junior. But yeah, I agree that they do sound a little bit on the boxy side. Here we go. He was talking to Mike over a text message. That's all right. All good. I do that all the time. Are Sire acoustics any good? I haven't seen any Sire guitars. They all kind of look like copies of other stuff. And if they're good copies of other stuff, go for it. It's not a brand that has really, like, I've gone, oh, wow, I got to get one of them. I've just seen them and I've gone, great. They look like every other Gibson and Strat kind of clone. But they supposedly are pretty great quality. But unless I get my hands on them, I'm not going to recommend them for anybody because I don't know. But there's going to be a million different reviews on YouTube for all that kind of stuff. So, if they have a pretty good reputation on the forums and in the comment section and all that kind of stuff, then you're getting something that's pretty good. But again, I haven't tried them, so yeah. Sorry about that. All right, I'm a child of 60s and 70s. Bon Scott era AC/DC is my biggest go-to. I mean, what a great band, right? Like, there's days where that could be my favorite band. Yeah, I mean, just great stuff. Just absolutely great stuff. Been enjoying the Dutch bluesman, is it Julian Sass's music? Very cool. I wonder if it's advantageous for a YouTube channel to update its background from time to time, or familiarity is best. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I feel like I had the posters long enough that people identify it with the channel, even in the thumbnails to some extent. And that's really all I think about. Like, not that that's all I think about, but that's how I see that. The familiarity in the thumbnails means, oh, that's the poster room, right? People go, okay, that's that room. If someone's got a wall of guitars and it looks a certain way with lights or whatever, then that's what they kind of get used to. Like with my tech thing, if I take a shot of a camera, the background is pretty similar every shot, and it gives people, I think, that familiarity thing. But I don't think it really matters. I mean, my channel was still doing well when I was shooting at the crap end of the room here, but I just didn't like it. It looked drab. It looked industrial in a cool way, but I hated the workflow. I had a big desk in here. I used to have to shuffle it around all the time, and as soon as I put the posters back up, like Rhiannon came in and she's like, oh, that looks awesome. I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it this way. So I think with any work sort of space area, it has to just feel good to be in. Now it actually feels good to be in. I feel so much less stressed. But I think, I think part of it is a familiarity thing as well. I think people like the posters. You know, as I see it in the comments, people go, oh, where do you get them? I've covered it on 5 videos. You know, like, it's go to Google, get them printed at an office supply shop, and you're good to go. What other brands do you think rival better, or the big guitar brands? I mean, Sir is another brand that's great. Anderson is another great brand as well. Both of those are fantastic. I mean, I played so many great guitars at Jerry's. LSL was another brand I reckon make better guitars than Fender. Stainless steel frets, all the stuff you'd want on a guitar. Their finish is slightly different. Oh man, I just played so many. But Sir is a brand that, while they're not cheap, if you compare them up against kind of like the equivalent in Fender, they're a better guitar. And I would also say that there's plenty of better, like, Gibson alternatives, like Nick Huber, phenomenal. I reckon they make some of the best guitars I've ever played. Still, after all these years. I mean, again, they're not cheap guitars, but yeah, there's just so many awesome brands. Collings is another one. You know, they make great stuff. Heritage make good stuff. I've played so many cool guitars over the years. And even some of the old Epiphones are great, right? Like, they're all good. It's hard to buy a dud. And I'm going to throw one more in there that's not quite as expensive. And that would be, what's the name of the brand? It is, I make the T386 guitar, which, they're handmade in China, basically. And they're basically like Gibson or Tokai quality. They're pretty great. I've forgotten the name of the brand. Someone will get it. We'll come back to that. Dougal says, oh, sorry. Hang on. Sire is almost non-existent in Australia so far. Well, there you go. I just don't see him anywhere. Again, you know, there's a lot of people that jump on bandwagons with stuff. They're like, oh, this is great. Yeah, but there's 30 other guitars that are exactly the same. You know, it's an easy views thing, which is cool. I mean, I do that sometimes too. I do the bandwagon stuff, but sometimes with kind of like other brands, I'm like, I've seen it all before. I kind of felt a little bit like that with them. But yeah, eventually I'll see some, and if they're great, I'll let you know. But it's just one of those things. Vola is another brand I got to mention too. They make great stuff. I recently bought oh, you know what? I was just thinking about these guitars. The Levinson Telly, roasted maple neck, stainless steel frets, $650. Worth checking out. They're awesome guitars. Very cool. I was just thinking about those before. Awesome. Shane says dirty deeds and they're done dirt cheap. Very cool. Bring back the brown blanket. Yeah. It's funny, like, looking back at those videos. They were fine. Like, they did what they needed to do at the time, but I knew nowhere near as much about light. I didn't know anything about lighting back then. I just had a light in the room. The reason the brown background was there was because it looked better than the white wall. That's just a curtain that I had that I put some hooks up and put it up against the wall, and that's how we did it. It was, it was hilarious. I've still got those curtains. They may come in handy for sound absorption or something whenever I move again. Here's a good question. This is from Damian Gonzalez. He says, would you spend $1,000 on an Epiphone Les Paul custom or $2,000 on a Gibson Les Paul tribute? Prices are quite harsh in my country. Yeah, all that stuff's gone up here as well. The tribute guitars are pretty good. They don't kind of look as nice as a lot of the standards in the series, but they're great sounding guitars, and they're sort of like a little bit on the lighter side as well, weight wise. But I always say you got to try them if you can. If you can try them both, that's always the best test. And it also depends on your budget. If you're gonna have to put an extra $1,000 on a credit card, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Don't ever do that. Just buy what you can afford. And if that's the $1,000 Epiphone, you're going to get a great guitar out of that. One of my good friends gigs with one of those guitars. I don't see too many of the guys I know playing Gibson Les Paul tributes. I had one of their studios, which I think is a pretty good middle ground between the tribute and their standards. So maybe check those out as well and see what they're worth in your part of the world. But, you know, the $1,000 Epiphone will have, or, you know, the custom will have a better finish. The pickups will be close, but not quite as good as the Gibson ones. But it will have everything else. It will give you the look, the better finish, you know, everything. They're not bad guitars whatsoever. So I always say try them. If you at all think at some point you're going to get a Gibson, then don't buy the Epiphone. Because you'll just buy the Epiphone, sell it, pay more, and buy the Gibson. So you've got to weigh that up for what works for you. But I always recommend that. It's like buying anything. You think, if I buy this, is this a stepping stone to get the one that I want? And then I'm actually spending more long term. But you might play them both and go, well, this isn't $1,000 better than that. And that would be the best outcome for you if you can get your hands on them. Yeah. Brett says Gibson prices are insane in Australia. 100%. Everything's going up. It's crazy. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, even other brands are guilty of it as well, man. It's just crazy. But the Gibson stuff it's not at all interesting for me anymore. I'll definitely be reviewing more as I find them in Lefty at some point. But for me personally now, I'm not that interested in Gibsons. I've owned a few. I've sold them all except for one, my Flying V. And the prices now don't make it worthwhile unless I was to get one used at a good price. And the used market's still your best friend. Like, don't think you can't get a great used guitar. So this can go back to Damien's question as well. Have a look and see what you can find used, because you might get a Gibson that you like with all the nice bells and whistles at far less money. Agree with the familiarity, but I also dare say it's more general, like colors and lighting. Yeah, that makes sense too in terms of the studio vibe. I just think it looks a bit better with the posters. It's a bit more fun and lighthearted, and you know, I got music on one side, my crappy movies and stuff on the other side. It's kind of fun. All right, Katsu says, I'm trying to find a small tube amp for home use, something like a Marshall TSL 5R. That's a great amp for home use, because you can switch it also down to like way less watts, like 2 watts or something. If each Les Paul sounds different, does the DSL CR sound different as well? So when it comes to amps, they're all pretty consistent. There might be slight variations in certain valves or whatever they put in there, but you buy one amp, it's going to sound basically like the next. The tolerances are far better than they used to be. So yeah, I would have no problems buying like a DSL-5 from one shop or the other. It's going to sound the same, so don't stress about that. And if the guitars you're plugging in, if your question's more relating to can you hear the difference in your guitars through that amp, then you should be able to. Absolutely. Except if you're playing with high gain. If you play with high gain, everything's basically sounding the same. But clean, you'll definitely hear a huge difference. Adam says, got a Mexican Telecaster, would like to get better pickups for it. What single coil tele pickups have impressed you? And did any of the cheaper things stand out? I guess, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of great pickups. See if you can get a set of player series tele pickups, if you can. There's stuff like Tone Riders, which are cheap as well. Even, you know, you can get Texas Specials. You might be able to find a pack of those on sale and get a pretty good deal on them as well. But yeah, there's a twisted tele pair that a lot of people like because the neck pickup's got a lot of sort of snap. But you can just have a look. I don't really know what your budget is, so it's a bit hard. But if you're looking on the less expensive side, Tone Riders used to be cheaper, but they're not anymore. They've gone up as well, so it's hard to really recommend them as a cheap set. I wouldn't skimp too much on pickups. What you'll find is if they're crap and you play with any sort of distortion or at louder volumes, you're going to get a lot of squeal. They just don't handle the gain very well. And my suggestion is don't get like a 50s style set of pickups. Go for something else. It'll give you a little bit more of a full sound in a good way, but also be able to handle your overdrive and distortion. Look, if I was just to put another set of pickups in my tele and I wanted single coils, I'd probably just get Texas Specials. There's a reason they're so popular, right? They're really good. I love my Danny Gatton pickups, but they're not for everybody, and they're so expensive now. I've had them for like 12 years, but yeah, there's plenty of good pickups out there. If anyone else has any suggestions for this particular question, let us know, and I'll put it on screen. Would love. Sorry. Here we go. Would love a Kiesel, but no new guitars this year. Yeah, mate, you're on the banned list now. Man, your guitar collection must be insane. I don't know if you've done a video on all your guitars or not, but you and John might be the kings of the excessive guitars. Eastman, there we go. That was that. Thank you. I'm just brain fog here. I haven't thought about them for a while. So Eastman's another brand that I think are highly underrated now. A lot of people go, they're not cheap for a Chinese-made guitar, yeah, but they're handmade, right? They're not like CNC machined, so that's why they're so expensive. Or at least the ones that I've played anyway. So I think they're great. All right, everyone's smarter than me. That's great. Vola may be right. Yeah, 100%. All right, I'm a bit far down back on the comments. I might actually just move down the chat a little bit here. If I missed your question, feel free to ask me again. I'll put this one on screen. All right. Hi, Shane. Nice to see you live. Been following your channel for years, and you've been like a standard for anything I would be interested in buying. Hey, thanks, man. I try to make my videos like useful long term, and that's great. I appreciate the kind words there. That's great. You know, there's a lot of channels that pump out like sort of like filler. I actually try to make my videos good if you see them now or 5 years from now, even though my old ones from 5 years ago probably suck. The idea is just, yeah, I like to keep my standard up. So thank you, mate. I appreciate that. That's fantastic. Hey, Nick. How are you, man? Hope you're doing well. Any chance of getting another... Yeah, at some point. At some point, hopefully. Use the curtains in your next horror film. Yeah, we're going to have to come up... The thing with those ideas is it took me ages to come up with that last one. So I don't have like a surplus of ideas. I definitely want to do something else though. That was so much fun. That new Guitar Day one. If you missed it, I'll link it down in the description after this. You can check it out. Did I have a chance to try any Tokai Les Pauls with the P90s? Not personally, but this is going back 10 years ago at least. I used to have a Gibson Les Paul VOS 56 reissue, which was like a P90 gold top. A friend of mine at the time had a right-handed Tokai version of that guitar. It was 100% the same. Everything was the same, except for, well, it was 99% the same. Mine had this stupid sort of like reliquing thing on the steel on the bridge, whereas his didn't. It just was, it looked new. And that was the only difference. The wood looked the same, the top looked the same, the sound was the same. It was awesome. So while I've never owned one or tried a Lefty version, yeah, seeing them side by side was hilarious. I think on Instagram going back in the day, or maybe it was when I had my Facebook account before I shut it down. It would have been Facebook, I guess, back then. I actually put a photo of them up because they looked exactly the same as each other. So, yeah, I love Tokai guitars. I think they're another one of those brands that's completely underrated. If it makes you feel any more incentive to check them out, my Tokai outlived my Gibson. That's how much I liked it. So, yeah. All right, let's... Yeah, here we go. So John's saying the Gibson will hold its price better than the Epiphones. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely right. There's going to be a time where I think like the Gibson thing won't hold its price as well. I think it might be in the next sort of like 10, maybe 10 or 15 years, once the people who grew up with them kind of end up moving on. You might find like Gibson might just be nowhere near as popular because, one, the price in 10 years or 15 years from now will be crazy, but also just they're doing the same thing all the time. You know, it's the same guitars every year. All the brands are guilty of this. Like Fender do the same thing. They got new versions of the same guitar. Different paint job. It's like, great. So, yeah, if you're looking for something different at some point, like I know for myself now, I actually really enjoy these sort of like different brands a little bit more. Stuff I wouldn't have tried 10 years ago, but now I'm like more open-minded. I realize how great some of this other stuff is. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see sort of what happens in the future for Gibson. I'm not too sure. Oh, here we go. Dougal says the tributes are being discontinued. Gibson is leaving the market for the higher end. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I'm a bit out of sorts with the updates. I did hear about that actually. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a stupid move, man, for Gibson not to have an entry thing. And then you know what? In 3 years I'll do it again. It's always the way, right? It's just like, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? What's my favorite digital overdrive? The only digital overdrive I think that I've owned outside of like a multi-effects pedal might have been that Bad Monkey. Is that digital? I'm not too sure. The Digitech? That might have been the only one I owned. I'm not sure if it just sounded like it was the digital name, Digitech. Well, if it was analog, it sounded fine. I don't really play a lot of digital effects, man. I'm not really into it. I much prefer to have like tangible effects on the floor. There's nothing wrong with like multi-effects, processor pedals and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, not when I play live. I don't like that sort of stuff. All right, let me move these comments over to somewhere where I can actually see them a bit easier. Here we go. This is good. Mexican Strat or Japanese Strat? For me, I'd prefer to play the Mexican stuff. And the reason is, while the Japanese guitars look a lot better in some scenarios, I should preface that, they're not all better, but they've usually got those small painted on frets, which I can't stand, those little micro vintage frets, and they've stuck with that for some reason. If you can find a made in Japan Strat with like larger frets, like you'd find on the Mexican stuff, then you're in business. But don't buy one with those painted on frets. They just won't last. And if you play a lot or you got a heavy hand, stay away from small frets. You'll burn through them. It takes no time at all. Seen the prices of Tokai Japan stuff lately really high. You know what? I haven't. I haven't had the urge to buy another one. The thing is, at least where I live anyway, you can find plenty of them on the used market, so they don't hold their value whatsoever. Well, I should say they don't hold their value as well as Gibson. Even now, people are more aware of them, but you can't sell them for anywhere near what you paid for them unless you wait 15 years. It's just not going to happen. So again, this is a good chance to sort of get on the used market or go to some of those buy, swap, and sell shops because they've usually got a few sitting on the wall. But yeah, I haven't. I'm tipping they're probably $1,500 cheaper than Gibson for the equivalent thing, which I still think is a better deal. Heavy says, I gave up trying to save for a Gibson, so I found a Fujigen 1979 custom Les instead. It sounds and plays just like a custom. Congrats, mate. That's my year, 1979. Well done. That's awesome, man. Well done. I'll just grab a quick drink. All right, let's... The range says, is Jerry's ever going to reopen, or is it history? Or is he? No, he will, 100%. I'm in touch with him over email. So he moved from Sarasota. He's now moved to Tennessee. But the job of building the place has taken him way longer than he thought. So hang in there. He's basically just shut the shop down until he's got it all sorted out. He bought a beautiful property. It looks amazing. It's full of trees. So he's doing a lot of work, and I think he thought it was going to take about 6 to 8 months, but it's going to take I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions, but I'm tipping it'll probably take another 5 to 6 months. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, he probably will still reply to emails, hopefully, because at least he's replying to mine. I've only emailed him a few times to ask how's he doing, how's it all going. And it was snowing when he sent me the last update, so it was a little while back. But yeah, I do know he will reopen. It just is taking some time. And when he does, I'm going over. So yeah, he'll start it up again. I love going to his shop. He's such a good guy, man. He's such an old school dude. Absolute dude. All right, let's go down here. Here we go. So Fret says, I have the Tone Rider City Limits in my Strat. They're kind of like Texas Special, slightly hotter than standard. There you go. So thanks for that. That's great. A few people are talking about the Tone Rider pickups here. Brett's saying the same thing as well. Very cool. Thank you. Jamal's back. Sorry, Judy calls, and it's humid as anything here. Now I got my heater on in here. Actually, Melbourne, it's funny. It's supposed to be really cold here at the moment. A lot of people are saying how cold Melbourne is compared to other years, but there's no wind, so it's nice and sunny outside. It's been really nice, but it's cold. It's like, a few times I've left the house, it's been 5 degrees Celsius. But it's been a nice day, so I don't know. I don't mind. So far, winter hasn't been that bad. But the heater's on in here, and again, I much prefer the warm weather. Tally Texas Specials, $2.99 on sale in Slobart. Is that supposed to be Hobart? That's hilarious. If I find my Blues Junior Boxy, what other small tube amps would you recommend? You've just got to find one with a bigger cabinet. It's the cab that makes it sound like that. So anything with a larger cab, the reason it sounds kind of tiny is because of that reason. Anything from like a hot rod, anything from like a deluxe reverb up. So if you can find a deluxe reverb, 22 watts, much wider cabinet, slightly taller, it's going to have a much better sound than the Blues Junior just in the room. It's going to give you the sense of space that you're probably looking for. And then you can go up to the hot rod of the Blues Deluxe amps, and then it's bigger again. And furthermore, if you've got like a hot rod DeVille, or a PV Classic with more speakers, or a Super Reverb, or any of these other amps, they're going to sound bigger and better again. So, yeah, the bigger the cabinet, the better the results. If you're looking for something slight, I don't know where you live, man, but if you're in Australia, my Artist TweedTone amp, which isn't in here at the moment, I thought it was, but it's not. It's about a third bigger than a Blues Junior, and it doesn't have that inherent like focused sound I think you're not a fan of. So that could be an option as well. But I would say get something like a deluxe reverb sized amp or a hot rod deluxe. Hey, cool. Thank you, man. All right, now let's go down the chat here. Here we go. John says, some of the Tokai Greco and Edwards copies are so close to the real thing. 100%. You know, and again, they're easier to find in Australia than other parts of the world. I think Canada can get them as well. I know Tony from Addicted to Gears got a Tokai as well. And I know in the US, they're kind of hard to find. So it must be something to do with Canadian and Australian laws. It's a lot easier to get made in Japan stuff. Hey, here we go. Michael says he rocks a Japan Tokai Fiesta Red Strat. Very cool. That's one thing I'd like to try, actually, if I can find a Lefty at one of those. That'd be awesome. Shane says he missed out on an Edwards V recently. Still kicking myself as well. The V's are... I was playing my V today. It's right here. I finally got it out of the cupboard. You know what? It's been so long since I've used this that the switch wasn't working properly. It's always the way. So, yeah. I'll tell you one thing I've enjoyed using. The Kemper. I haven't used it for too many videos. I've used it for one so far, which was my Telecaster video. But I've actually been practicing more with it because I can turn it on, have it come through the studio monitors, and I got my sound. I've been really digging it. I think it's actually on. It's my Marshall sound. So yeah, it's just been great. And you know, you can get that great sound at any volume. So when I do some straight up guitar videos now, I can just record with my sound. I profiled my gear. I'm not using amps I don't have. It's the sound you know, and it makes it easy. And that's got nothing to do with that comment. Sorry, Shane, I got off on a tangent here. Maybe I saw something else in the chat. Dougal says, who here bought a guitar or guitars largely based on Shane and... can't talk. I'm getting tired. And featured it, sorry. A Gretsch Electromatic. Oh, cool. And the SX Strat. The SX stuff, I used to give them... I used to think they were junk. I used to see them in the used guitar shops or in the used cash converters places all the time. And I used to go, oh man, SX, I don't want to play those. And then I actually played one. I was like, these are really great. So John let me know all about that. And he was absolutely right. They're actually pretty great. So yeah, you know, Gretsch, I got to get a Gretsch at some point. I don't know why I haven't done it. I'm a tight ass is why I haven't done it. I think that's all it is. Also, how many used guitars are still around? Will the used market ever get to a total glut? Surely we're not crashing the guitars like we are with cars. Well, that's the thing, right? I've said this for years. What's to stop someone having a guitar for 20 years? It's just they last forever, and then they're somewhere, right? No one's throwing out guitars. I sort of don't know where they go. Supposedly, the average... I heard this weird stat, like 1 in every 10 households in the world has a guitar in it. I don't know if that's the average of like people like me who might have 10, people like John who has 15 or 30, or everyone else in the room. I don't know how they sort of worked that out, but it might just be a population density thing divided by how many guitars were sold in a year or something. I don't know, but yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting as well. Any thoughts on the Cort G300 Raw? I don't know what that is. Let me have a look. Let's break out the keyboard here. Cort G300. Okay. Man, you know what? I had this set up. Oh, I don't have it set. I'll work it out. If this program's worked the entire stream and when I do the timestamps, if it looks good, I've been talking all day. I'm a little tired. Sorry, I'm stuttering. Then I'll get this program and I'll sort it out properly so I can share this with you. But it looks great. I mean, I haven't seen it in person before, but it looks like a PRS kind of custom, what is it? Custom 24 frets. It looks great. Yeah. I mean, that's all I can tell you. I haven't played one, so I can't tell you how it plays or sounds, but looking at it, it looks like a nice guitar. Have you got it, or are you thinking about getting it? I can see PRS having more of a presence in the market in the future. Fender, I believe, will always be popular. Yeah, I sort of feel the same. You know, like Fender's marketing team are probably the best. They're you know, again, they're releasing a lot of the same stuff every year, but it's good. And they do it in a way that's sort of like, oh, wow, this is cool. So, I mean, there's exceptions to that. They do release new products like the ToneMaster Pro and the ToneMaster amps and all that kind of thing. But, you know, a lot of the stuff is the same. And I think more people look forward to seeing their stuff. And they haven't had, like, any train wreck social media moments like Gibson have. And I think PRS are probably one of the best at it as well. And they're getting, you know, John Mayer, love him or hate him. He's a household name if you have heard music. You know, he's in many ways like the Clapton of now, you know, whether you like him or not. He's a great guitarist. And I think they need to sort of work with more dudes like that who are great players and household names, and they'll be killing it. They're already killing it. So I agree. Well said. I just wish they had a few more like more affordable options for lefties. There's just nothing really until, well, in November, I think November they come out here in Australia, the Silver Skies. I'm kind of interested. I might be interested. We'll see how we go. All right, we've got, I'm not sure how to say your name here. Howdy from Peru, Shane. Looking forward to setting up all those pedals when I get back. Hey, how are you, mate? Thanks for your support. I appreciate that. Off for an early morning surf. That's fantastic. And I just realized, I think you said your phone was stolen, and now I finally I understood what you meant after the fact. So I hope you got that sorted out too, mate. No worries at all. And just shoot me an email anytime, and I'll post all that stuff out for you. Thank you again. And enjoy your time over there, man. Peru, it's one of those places I know nothing about. It sounds exotic. That's super cool. Have fun. All right, Bad Monkey is analog. Cool. Then, you know what? My favorite digital pedals would be digital delays. And that would be, yeah, I would have no problems using like actually, I've got a digital delay on my board. But I don't have any problems with like time-based effects for that kind of stuff. But overdrives, no. All right, I'll just scroll down here. Any thoughts on the left-handed Epiphone Explorers or Flying Vs? You know, I've never really reviewed either. And Sky Music have a lot of lefties in usually, and I don't know if they've got those. I actually asked them for they've got in their warehouse, I think, is it like a Bourbon Burst or a Brown 335 Epiphone? I want to try that out. I'm actually pretty keen to give that a shot. So I think I'll probably get a call about that soon to check that out. And if they've got any of those, I'll give them a shot because I haven't played any. I played an Explorer at Jerry's years ago. And that was the only one I've played. And that might have been like made in Japan or something. It was pretty old. So, yeah, I can't really give you a definitive answer on them because I haven't played them. I know Dr. Rick's played some in some of our Keys to the Guitar Shop videos, but yeah, I haven't had my hands on them myself. I think he played the ones with those fancy pickups in there with the, what are they called? What were those pickups called? I've forgotten what they're called. Anyway, there was a series of pickups that came out that had like a battery powered thing you could recharge. I'm terrible with pickup names tonight. I can't think of them. Anyway, thanks. Someone else will hey, we got Grant here. How are you, man? Hope you're doing well. If you're into camera nerdery like myself, go check out Grant's channel. He's a good dude. He's from Queensland, and don't hold that against him. No, I'm joking. I'm using the Peter Gregg Ecamm Live tonight for the first time, so we're seeing whether or not this streaming software works all right. We're going USB in with my camera as working as a webcam, so hopefully it's good. Yeah, guys, if you noticed, he's just hit 8,000 subs. If you're into camera stuff, go check it out. Thanks, man. I hope you're doing well. Jamal says, I'm intrigued to see how things go in the future as far as popular brands. The way music is nowadays, who knows? Yeah, you're not wrong. I think the good thing about the way it'll work now, yeah, you're right, man. That's a discussion in itself. I might save that up for a video because it's an interesting topic. I might favorite that because it's given me a good idea to make a video. Yeah, I agree. There's like 10 things going off in my head at once, which is crazy. So, yeah. Why do I prefer the ESP Schecters? Don't they usually have active pickups? I don't usually prefer ESP or Schecters. I don't think I've reviewed any. I don't dislike the guitars. I just don't. I haven't had any playing experience with them. I think they look cool. ESP and Schecter. Yeah, I don't know who said that, but yeah, they're not my preferred guitar by any stretch of the imagination. I don't put the heater on. I just wear my, I think it's supposed to say big ass tent as a big as a tent big as a tent hoodie. There we go. Yeah, I've been in this room all day. We'll go for about another 10 or 15 minutes and we'll wrap it up before I can't speak. Let me grab a drink. I was wondering if the TweedTone survived the amp purge of 2024. Yeah, it's still here. I'm thinking of getting rid of the 12-watt one because I'm just not using it. I had this sort of weird... The reason I put the studio back, it was a space thing, right? Like I had it... I was shooting this way and I had no room in here. Like it was killing me. I just wanted more floor space and it meant getting rid of stuff. And then... after I got everything in the garage and I realized, hey, I can make both studios work in here, I'm like, oh, this is great. Now I don't have to get rid of stuff. So, yeah, everything that I had is still here. All right. By the way, only 33 thumbs up. Let's hit it. Come on, let's get it to... How many people are here, by the way? We've got 66 people. Let's aim low. Let's go for 50. That would be awesome. Yeah, Adam says the TweedTone has a great amount of gain. It's such a great amp. Like, so many of my friends have them. I've used them for so many jam nights and smaller gigs. Oh, even loud gigs, too. They're just brutal. One of my friends has got one, and another mutual friend heard it. He goes, man, that Blues Deluxe is so loud. Like, 40 watts is too much. I'm like, dude, that's the TweedTone. The thing is so loud, and you use it with a clon or any sort of boost pedal, and it's killer. It's so good. The drive tones just straight out of the amp are unreal. It's one of the few great multi-channel amps, like great clean, great drive tones. It's awesome. All right, we'll just scroll down a little bit here. I know I'm really far back on the chat here, so I apologize, folks. I'm trying my best to get as many questions answered as I can. Did I ever play the VS Audio Platinum? It's their take on the Silver Jubilee. Yeah, it's good if you're looking for that particular type of sound. I did review it. It probably got buried in the embargo release of, you know, the 15 other videos that came out on the same day. But it is on my channel. If you just go to youtube.com/intheblues, use the search tool, type in Platinum, it should come up. I still don't like it as much as the Royal Flush for live playing. I love those amp in a box pedals, but the Royal Flush is just the best. You know, I don't want to really emulate an amp. I just want to have a great drive tone. And for me, the Royal Flush is still the top pick for me. I love it. It's been awesome. But the tone of that thing is so good. If you're looking for that particular type of sound, the Marshall in the Box thing, you're going to get a kick out of it. John says, yeah, poor Shane busted his chops until he tried an SX. You're right, man. I bought two on the same day. Hey, man, what do you think about the Artist AP54J Les Paul Junior copy? It's build quality. I think I've tested one of them, right? Let me just have a quick look. I've tested so many things, it's hard for me to remember. AP54J. Oh, that's the recent one we did with Ben. Yeah, man. These things are great. They're dirt cheap. I think they're like $250. I mean, I did a video with Ben because they weren't available in like a Lefty, so Ben helped showcase that particular model. Things sounded great. He was shocked. Like, he remembers artist guitars from like 10 years ago or 7 years ago where they're a bit hit and miss with the quality control, all that kind of stuff. Because he worked in a guitar shop, he used to see some come in and he'd have to sort of fix a few things on certain models. He goes, for $250, it's great. So, yeah, he had no problems with it. We don't get any special ones. It was just another one from the warehouse or whatever. So, yeah, it sounded great. If you're looking, the only thing with the P90s is they buzz. So if you're in a situation where, your bass or your other instruments buzz a little bit when you record, you're going to have to use a noise gate or something like that, because humbuckers are a bit more usable just generally, but P90s sound really cool, and that's got one. So it's pretty gnarly. All right. Are the Marshall JVMs, in your opinion, worth the extra cost over the DSL 40? Yeah, I have a hard time not recommending the DSL 40. It's arguably like their best amp as an all-rounder. It gives you 4 channels. The clean's great. You get a higher headroom clean channel on 40 watts. You get 2 of the best crunch channels you're ever going to hear. They're basically the same, so you can switch between like one with lower gain or one with higher gain, or have them set up the same, whatever you prefer. And then you get that ultra gain channel. I don't really see a downside to the DSL 40 CR. Now, if we're talking about some of the old DSL 40s with a C but no R, those don't, from what I remember, they don't sound quite the same as the CRs. I don't know if the functionality's the same, but man, I don't know. I've never felt the urge to really buy anything other than that. I think it's just the best combo you can buy. It's plenty loud. You can switch it down to 20 watts. You can run it out to different speakers and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to tame the top end, you can put a different speaker in there. One that sort of, like what I've done, I've put a Texas Heat in mine. It's arguably it's one of the most playable amps I have, even at 20 watts. It's so good. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just comes down to what you like. If you're more of a fan of like the classic sort of 60s sound, you might prefer some of the other heads and boxes. Like Silver Jubilee's a great amp, but it's not loud enough. And the combo especially, I think it's like a 20 watt amp or something like that from memory, and it sounds phenomenal. And those are like the studio ones that I've tested are more for recording purposes. But the DSL, man, I have a hard time not recommending it. And anything you see long term in my studio means I really like it, because I don't have to keep any of this stuff. If I buy something and it sucks, I'll sell it. These amps are just, yeah, I reckon it's a modern classic. I've said that before, but the DSL's a beast. It really is. Dougal says, I think the PRS SE line does a great job at offering good guitars at a decent price. A bit of variety too. Yeah, I think you're right. Only problem is they're only up until, with the exception of like one model for us lefties, they're all righties. And in that scenario, you're absolutely right. Kevin saved the day. He says Fishman, and he's right. Yeah, the Fluence pickups. Yeah, 100%. I remember seeing a row of mics sitting nicely on your desk in some videos. I'm curious why you change them so often. It just keeps things interesting. I find like sometimes I go through a phase where I love a 57, and then the next time I hear it, I'm like, I'm so sick of this sound. Like, what else is there? So occasionally I'll blend a 57 with a Sennheiser E906. And if you've never done that and you record guitar with amps, that combination is so good. There's certain combinations of mics and stuff that work well together, and those two work really well. Other times I love the ribbon mic sound, especially this one that I've got, this AEA N22. This thing is ridiculous. It's so good. I actually profiled all my amps with this recently because it has a sound that it's just beautiful. It's got a beautiful sound. But the reason I mix or dual mic a lot of things, sometimes I like to force myself to try combos of mics, or it gives me more flexibility in post too, because I can kind of like pull one mic down, bring one mic up, and get the best of both, or split them and all that kind of stuff. So it's just more for fun. That's all it is. I love mics. I used to record bands years ago, even before, while I was doing YouTube, but also before that I was recording albums. So I've got probably 30 microphones that I've purchased, and there's probably a handful that were sent out here as well. Yeah, I'm just a big fan of good mics. You can't go too far wrong with them. Audio is very important, and the reason I change them is just for something to do. It keeps me entertained. But yeah, if you're going to get anything, get a good ribbon mic, get a 57 and a Sennheiser E906. Yeah, I've got another one that I really like, which is right over here. This is kind of like the middle ground between an E906 and an SM57. And this was sent out to the channel, by the way. This is the Austrian Audio OD5. The review went up probably a year or so ago. I use this a lot because the basket swivels. So it makes it easier for me to use those little tabletop tripod mic stands like this. And then I can put this however I like. It's really cool how it works. So yeah, it's just for fun. I just like messing with different mics. I used to use the Rode M3s all the time, and then I just got sick of that sound. I should go back to it at some point. They're great mics. Still got them. Taylor Swift branded guitars. Sheeran has got guitars and pedals now. Yeah, well, I mean, they're the... You know, I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, while I don't listen to either of them, you know, acoustic players look up to current acoustic players and singers. So that's... Yeah, it's smart marketing. She's probably the most popular artist in the world currently for record sales, right? Only second to Thriller, I heard. I don't know if that's true, but I heard something like that. Do those Blues Cube tone capsules even exist? I never thought much of those, to be honest. I got to test out all of them in a cage or something. You'd plug in and flick a switch and it would go between them. It did change the sound, but completely unnecessary. Oh, there goes the motorbike. That's why I want to leave. Anyway. But yeah, don't waste your money on those things, is my 2 cents. Oh, here we go. Kevin's building one. Very cool, man. That's awesome. I don't have the patience for that kind of stuff. I'd love to be able to do it, but yeah, I'm just not, working over something all the time. It just gives me a bad neck. The Artist single cut, Junior is a bolt necks, double cut is set neck. There you go. That's from John for Grant, who was asking before. Very cool. James says, nice playing on the recent 5-watt world video on the Fender Brownface amps. Was that the Stapleton signature amp I was playing? It was. Yeah, that was, I think, not long after they came out. I borrowed it from Sky Music, and it was amazing. A good friend of mine actually bought that amp. Not that exact one, but another one that was exactly like it. Oh, that Princeton, man, was glorious. 12-watt speaker. 12-inch speaker. It's supposed to be like 12 watts or 15 watts or something, but those things throw so much wind, man. They're loud amps. They sound beautiful. And thank you, by the way. Yeah, that guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy from that YouTube channel, he emailed me like 6 months ago about that, and I totally forgot about it, and I'll have to check it out. So thanks for that. The review video was one of the most inspiring tones from an amp I've ever had with 3 controls. I think it had like volume, tone, and no reverb. It might have had like a tremolo circuit or something built in there. Thing was beautiful. Really cool. They're so overpriced though, man. They're just so expensive, but one of the best sounding like single 12 lower watt amps you're going to hear. And my friend Dave, who's got one, he used it at a jam we both did. I had my Marshall on 20 watts, and he had that amp, and it was way loud enough to gig with, like in that blues sort of 4-piece band situation. So yeah, just a really, really great amp. That'd be an amp I'd consider getting at some point if I could get a good deal on it at some point. Hey, Dale, how are you, man? Thanks for joining in. Do us a favor too, folks. If you're not already, if you're already subscribed, check your notifications as well. I've got more videos coming up, and it's getting harder to reach people. I think the notification bell breaks every 3 months by the sounds of it. People just go, "Oh, you're still uploading." I'm like, oh, yes. So, yeah, just see if it's still working if you want to be notified. If not, all good. All right, we might... I'll take a couple more questions and we'll wrap this up. I'm starting to get a bit of a sore throat here. Tommy says, do you prefer tiny pedal boards or big pedal boards? Personally, I like the charm of a small, versatile board. Me too. So my main one's got 5 pedals. It's got a tuner. It's got the VS Audio Vibler. At the moment, it's got the Shelly Ponyboy Klon, which is a single pedal, just a normal sized one. I've got the VS Audio Royal Flush, and I've got the... If I didn't say the Boss tuner, that's at the start. Then I've got a delay on the end. So that's a 5 pedal board. I actually just the other day bought a pedal train that fits 3 pedals. And that's now my Marshall pedal board. So it's got a tuner, the most important pedal. The Klon, that, what was it called? The Centavo. It's awesome. So that into the drive channel of the Marshall is just all I ever need when I do need a bit of extra drive. And a delay, and that's it. So I've had so many larger boards myself that I always end up going back to smaller boards because it just, yeah, keeps it more simple and less stuff can go wrong. And I don't really like the whole process of putting the boards together. I don't want to have to like wind cables under stuff and cable manage all of it. You get short patch cables and you're laughing. So yeah, for live stuff, simple is better for me. I don't really like having lots of, you know, more than 5 pedals. It's plenty. Rivera, sorry, makes a good amp. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I've played some that I like, and I've played some that I don't. A mate of mine had one for years, and it was loud, but it didn't really inspire much in terms of tone. It was versatile, I'll give it that. It had a nice sort of Fender-y clean channel and a kind of Marshall drive channel. But it's that kind of stuff that you'll either like it or you won't. It's a bit like Laney for me. They're a bit hit and miss. Like some Laneys sound great and other Laneys are the most boring sounding amps. So yeah, it really depends on the model. Sonny says, I have another question. Do string lubricants do anything or are they just a gimmick? I tell you what, if you go back and watch my videos, usually, anytime, just if you happen to watch one, there's usually cans of Fingerease everywhere in the studio. I live by that stuff. I use it every time I film, every time I play live. So in that case, I love it. It makes older strings feel a lot less crappy. And it also gets rid of all the what they call the string torque. So when you're, I actually got it on here too, but like when you slide your fingers around, like, it's not really doing it because I've had it on here already, but you can sometimes get these really high frequencies that kind of suck for recording. Anyway, yeah, I use Fingerease all the time. I'm not sponsored by them. I buy 5 cans at a time, and I put one in my what do you call it, in the pedalboard bags, and I usually have a few cans laying around. There's one on the floor right there. So, yeah. Yeah, I've been using this stuff for years, and it smells great. But I haven't tried all the different variations. I just stick to what I know, and for me, this just works. And if you do any recording or live playing, if you have an issue with the back of the neck being sticky as well, people love this sort of stuff. But that's the only one I've used. Ah, cool. 54. Thanks, man. That's awesome. Hey, we've got 58 thumbs up now, I can see. I'm a bit behind the chat here. We've got Ed. Welcome, mate, from Texas. How you doing? Thanks for joining in. Keith Williams. Thanks, man. Yeah, it had been months since I got an email from him. And I said, yeah, feel free to use the video. It's totally fine. So, yeah, he seemed like a good dude. I'll check that video out tonight. I'll watch it. Thoughts on Ceratone amps? Yeah, again, mixed. I don't think, like, people say I can build a Ceratone or I bought one and it's the same as this or that. I don't know, man. I sort of, maybe in theory they're the same. A good friend of mine always wanted the Dumble sound. And he gets it out of pedals on the clean channel of a Fender now. And it's easier to do that than, I don't know. Yeah, again, it's another one of those brands. Either it sounds amazing and you go, wow, I haven't listened to that, or it's got too much bottom end. But another mate of mine's actually built a few that I think were kind of like Fender, old school, like Fender style ones. Not so much the Dumble circuit. And they're pretty cool. But I just don't know if there's, yeah, unless you're saving a good amount of change on them. Again, I don't know, man. They're another brand that sort of either really hit and miss, or you've done your dough, meaning you probably can't sell them for, you know, if you try to sell them, you basically just blown your cash. So, I don't know. Again, I haven't played them all. I think I've reviewed maybe 3 or 4 over the years on my channel. And this is going back a long time. And I might have showcased one of Brian's or something as well. But, yeah, even he ended up moving it on. He just got sick of it. He was like, the Fender thing's better with a pedal. The pedals do a better Dumble. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's all subjective stuff. Like, I'm sure there's people screaming, oh, I got a Ceratone this and it sounds great. That's good. I probably haven't played that one. There we go. Grant says, yeah, the Fingerease is essential. Used it for years. Yeah, it's one of the best things, especially on playing bass, man. It's a no-brainer. I'll just leave that on screen. All right, we're all the way down to the end of the chat here. Keith, thank you for joining in, mate. Sorry I didn't put that on screen. I missed that one. Appreciate everybody hanging out. We'll wrap this up. I'll check the live stream, and if this, I'll timestamp it and do all that kind of stuff. And then if this program works, I'll put an order in before the end of financial year here, which is in a few days. So, yeah, I want to start live streaming more. I feel so much better about the studio now and the space. It's always been a nightmare trying to stream, and now I can just plug this in and I'm laughing. So, all right, guys, thank you again for hanging out. And if I missed any questions, just leave it on the regular comment section after it ends. And that's it. Easy. All right. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Sorry, I don't know how. Where's the end button? Here we go. It says finish. There's a finish button. So we're going to finish. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. And I'll leave this up. We'll timestamp it, all that kind of stuff. I'll stay up another hour and do that. All right, take care. Thanks again. Catch you soon.